Sri Vidura said, O great Brahmana, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete spiritual whole and is unchangeable, how he is connected with the material modes of nature and their activities. If this is his pastime, how do the activities of the unchangeable take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature?
63. क्रीदयम् उद्यमो ऋषभस्य कामश्चिक्रीदिशयन्तया स्वतः तृप्तस्य चाकतं निवृतस्य सदान्यता.
Boys are enthusiastic to play with other boys or with various diversions because they are encouraged by their desire. But there is no possibility of such desire for the Lord because he is self-satisfied and detached from everything at all times.
अस्राक्षित् भगवान् विश्वं गुणामायात्मा मायया तया संस्थापयते एतद् भूया प्रत्यापि दृश्यते.
By his self-sheltered potency of the three modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her, he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again.
देशतः कलतो योत्सव अवस्थता स्वतन्यता अविल्पुप्त तवद्भूतात्मा सायुजेताय कथम्.
The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situations, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nuisance?
भगवान् एका एवैसा सर्वक्षेत्रेषु अवस्थिता अमुष्या दुर्भागतव्यं वा क्लेशो वा कर्मभिः कुतः.
The Lord, as the Supersoul, is situated in every living being's heart. Why then do the living entities' activities ref result in misfortune and misery?
एतस्मिन् मे मनो विद्वन् खीद्यते ज्ञानसङ्कते तन्ना परानुदा विभो कश्मलं मनसं महत्.
O great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned by the distress of this nescience, and I therefore request you to clear it up.
श्रीसुक उवाच स इतं चोदिता शत्रा तत्त्वजिज्ञासुना मुनि प्रत्याह भगवच्चित्ता स्मयन् इव गतस्मय.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O King Maitreya, being thus agitated by the inquisitive Vidura, at first seemed astonished, but then he replied to him without hesitation, since he was fully God conscious.
मैत्रेय उवाच सेयं भगवतो माया यन्नयेन विरुध्यते ईश्वरस्य विमुक्तस्य कार्पण्यम् उत बन्धनम्.
Sri Maitreya said, certain conditioned souls put forward the theory that the Supreme Brahmana or the personality of Godhead is overcome by illusion or maya at the same time. They maintain that he is on condition. This is against all logic.
यद् अर्थेन विनामुष्य पुंस आत्मा विपर्यय प्रतीयत उपद्रष्टु स्वासिरश्चेदनादिका.
The living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off.
यथा जले चन्द्रमासा कम्पादिस्तत्कृतो गुणा दृश्यते सन् अपि द्रष्टुरात्मनो नात्मनो गुणा.
As the moon reflected on water appears to seem to tremble due to being associated with the quality of the water, so the self associated with matter appears to be qualified as matter.
स वै निवृते धर्मेण वासुदेवानुकम्पया भगवद्भक्तियोगेन तिरोदते शनैरिह.
But that misconception of self-identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Vyasudeva, through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment.
यदेन्द्रियोपरमोता द्रष्टामणि परे हरौ विलयन्ते तदा क्लेशा संसुपतस्येव कृष्णसा.
When the senses are satisfied in the seer's supersoul, the personality of Godhead, and merge in him, all miseries are completely vanquished as after a sound sleep.
अशेषसङ्क्लेशसमं विदाते गुणा गुणानुवद श्रवणं मुररे किं वा पुनस्तच्चरणारविन्द परागसेवा रतिरात्मलब्धा.
Simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental name from of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one can achieve this cessation of unlimited miserable conditions. Therefore, what to speak of those who have attained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet?
विदुरवाच सञ्चन संशयो मह्यं तवा सुप्ताशिन विभो उभयत्रापि भगवान् मनो मे सम्प्रदावति.
Vidura said, O powerful sage, my Lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities have now been removed by your conceiving words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them.
साधु एतद्यूतः व्युहृतं विद्वान् नात्मा मायायनं हरे अबते अपरत्तं निर्मलं विश्वमूलं नायद् बहिः.
O learned sage, your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord.
यश्च मुदात्तमो लोके यश्चे बुद्धे परं गता तव उभौ सुखम् एदेति काश्यति अन्तरितो जनः.
Both the lowest of the fools and he is who is transcendental to all intelligence enjoy happiness, whereas persons between them suffer the material pangs.
अर्थभावं विनिश्चित्य प्रतीतस्यापि नात्मना तं चापि युष्माचारान् सेवयाहं परानुदे.
But my dear sir, I am obliged to you now because I can understand that this is material manifestation is without substance. Although it appears real, I'm confident that by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea.
यत्सेवया भगवता कुतस्तस्य मधुद्विषा रतिरासो भवेत् तीव्रा पादयो व्यासनार्दः नार्दन.
By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses.
दुरापहै अल्पतपसा सेव वैकुण्ठ वर्त्मासु यत्रोपगीयते नित्यं देवदेवो जनार्दन.
Persons whose austerity is measure can hardly be obtained the service of the pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vanquityas. Pure devotees engage 100% in the glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigods and the controller of all living entities.
श्रुत्वाग्रे महद् आदानि स्वा विकारणीये अनुक्रमात् तेभ्यो विराजम् उद्धृत्य तम् अनु प्रविशद् विभु.
After creating the total material energy, the Mahatattva and thereby manifesting the gigantic universal form with senses and sense organs, the Supreme Lord entered within it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shyam Prabhuji and dear Devika, for the beautiful recitations. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Or whatever it may be.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, dear devotees, I have a special announcement to make. Today is dear Shyam Prabhuji's birthday. So I'd like all of you to please unmute your mics and we can all wish Prabhuji a very happy Krishna conscious birthday. So could we all unmute your mics now, please? Okay, so are we ready? Wishing you a Krishna conscious birthday, Shyam Prabhuji.
Krishna conscious
Haribo.
birthday, Prabhuji.
Happy birthday,
Haribo.
mercy on you
Haribo.
always.
You enjoyed your day today, Prabhuji? You're muted.
That is so kind of you, Mataji. Thank you so much for wishing me and also inviting me to do this shloka recitation. I was so happy that you invited me. It shows so much of how devotees care for each other. And I was just finishing my kirtan in the manner, and I thought immediately I should come and just join you for this. So I just want to humbly thank everyone for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for your wishes. It's really, really special, and I feel so blessed that and please bless that I can serve Vaishnavas and all of you, and in future maybe do service for you. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's Krishna's mercy that you were chosen to recite today. So, yeah, wish you all the best and may Lord Sri Krishna bestow his loving blessings and mercy on you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Over to you, Krishna Govinda Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you very much. Thank you, Shah Prabhu, and also to is that Devika for reciting both the Sanskrit and the English so beautifully recited.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
For me.
Happy Apprentice Day. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to today's chat from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, the status quo, Chapter 7, Further Inquiries by Vidura. The verses that we're going to be reading, 19, 20, 21, 22, is 26th of January, 2025. And my name is Krishna Govinda Das. Please kindly accept me to allow me to facilitate for today's chat session. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I just quickly check that you can see the screen with the text.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jyotiben. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, verse 19. Yat sevaya bhagavata kutastasya madhudvisha pratiraso bhavet tivraha padayo vyasannadanaha. Translation. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The association of a bona fide spiritual master, like the sage Maitreya, can be of absolute help in achieving transcendental attachment for the direct service of the Lord. The Lord is the enemy of the Madhu demon. In other words, he is the enemy of the suffering of his pure devotee. The word Rati Rasaha is significant in this verse. Service to the Lord is rendered in different transcendental malos, relationships, neutral, active, friendly, parental, and conjugal. And if an entity in the liberated position of transcendental service to the Lord becomes attracted to one of the above-mentioned mellows, when one is engaged in transcendental love and service to the Lord, one's service attachment in the material world is automatically vanquished. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 59, Rasa vajam rasopi asya param drisva nirvatati. Okay, before I go to verse 20, I'll recite the introduction prayers. Please to join in. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshurmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Pistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rapakada Maya Tadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadvatam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shivashakamitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vishabhanusate Devi Paramami Hare Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my obeisances and respects and seek the blessings of my spiritual master, Solanus Bhakti Swami, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pistaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Swami Tinamane. We also kindly seek the blessings of our Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pistaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pachayane, Nirvishesha Sanyavade Paschatya Desatayane. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. And I also ask for the blessings of all the listeners that I can actually speak on the wonderful topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So just going back to this verse, I'll read the translation again. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, which is the unchangeable enemy of the mighty demon, on whose service vanquishes one's material distresses. So once again, just a little background. It's Maitreya Muni and Vidura by the banks of the Ganges. Vidura is asking questions to Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni is actually acting as a spiritual master, and Vidura, out of humility, he is acting as the disciple. Now, the topic of the spiritual master, the relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple, is such an important one, and is covered several times in many messages that we get, perhaps on WhatsApp or perhaps when we're reading through transcendental literature. It's all about the relationship of the disciple and the spiritual master, that one should be subservient to the spiritual master and surrender to him. And one of the most important verses regarding that particular relationship is in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. One should try and approach a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Just like Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, although he came as a warrior, he came as a friend to Lord Krishna. But as soon as he saw who he was fighting, his own teachers, his own relatives, his friends, his kinsmen, he completely became bewildered. He completely lost control of himself. And he surrendered to Krishna, and he said, please, Krishna, I am your disciple. Instruct me what I should do. So that is so important, that you should actually look at an authority and accept it as an authority. Of course, it has to be bona fide spiritual master, not just anybody. And actually surrender to him, inquire from him, and listen to the instructions of the spiritual master. But the spiritual master, because he's also been instructed by his own spiritual master through the Sampradaya, he's not going to change the philosophy. He's not going to change anything that may cause harm to his own disciples. actually it's his duty to actually take them back to the lotus feet of his own spiritual master, who in turn takes it back to his own spiritual master, and along the lineage, his disciples along the path of the sampradaya are taken back to this lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and ultimately attain liberation. But the spiritual master's role is so important because he's not an ordinary personality. In fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it mentions about the quality of the spiritual master. So this Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 11, chapter 17, verse 27, Vicharyama Vichaniyan Navaman Yitakar Hichit Namarcha Buddhayo Suyeta Savadeva Mayo Guru. So the translation is very important. One should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, think him an ordinary man, for he is a representative of all the demigods. Now, if you can imagine, I think there's something like 300 million demigods. Now, if you can imagine, if he is the representative of the demigods, what does that actually mean? Is he greater than the demigods? Is he as powerful as the demigods? Actually, he's given an important role by the Supreme Lord himself. It's actually an expansion of the Supreme Lord, like a Shakti Aveshavatar, has come down specifically on the request of the request of Krishna himself to come to this material world, to come and bring the conditioned souls back to Krishna. So the Acharya should not be disrespected. He's supposed to be considered as good as God, as we recite our prayers in the morning, the Gurvashtakam prayers. Shakshat Daridve, Nasamasa Sastre, Testata Bhavyateva Sadip. The spiritual master should be considered as good as me because he is a confidential servant of the Lord. Similarly, on the last verse of the 8 verses, Yasha Prashada, Bhagavad Prashada, Yasha Prashada Nagati Katopi. We've certainly mentioned this verse quite a few times in the Yachal classes. Only one cannot attain the mercy of Krishna or the blessings of Krishna without getting the blessings of the spiritual master. So in other words, unless the spiritual master gives you his blessings, you cannot obtain the mercy of Krishna. You cannot become empowered in any way. So it's important that you surrender to a spiritual master. But who is that? A spiritual master? He's got to be bona fide. He's got to be authentic. He's got to be part of the disciplic succession. You just have to watch many of these documentaries that come on BBC or YouTube about different organizations who followers follow a particular leader because he claims to be God, or he claims to be Jesus, he claims to be some avatar of Krishna. But in effect, it's sort of a cult enticing them to come to join him so he could accumulate some power, some prestige, some sort of authority, some sort of awe and reverence, and acquire some wealth as well, and some sort of support from his own disciples to do whatever he demands them to do. But a spiritual master never wants a disciple to do something which is detrimental to his spiritual nature or to the bad influence of anybody else as well, who may be seeing that the spiritual authority to be as good as God. If he's, for instance, if you see a spiritual master who's not supposed to be drinking, having attachments to women, taking drugs, taking meat, you know for a fact that if he's in the spiritual sampradaya of Brahma sampradaya, he's not an authorized person whatsoever. And it's so sad when you actually see some of the stories when certain people are brainwashed in following these cult leaders. Like, for instance, there was a cult leader, he was under investigation by the authorities, and because he was afraid that they may be caught in his illicit activities, he asked everybody to take this small vial of poison, and he asked everybody, do not be distinguished, do not be discouraged in any way. We are going to heaven, take this poison, and we're all going to go to heaven. And it's such a sad scene when you see the footage of everybody lying on the floor, all dead, hundreds and hundreds of people, young, women, men, elderly, children. You think, what causes a person to want to follow a person who is just brainwashing you to do something which isn't of your natural constitutional connection to the Supreme Lord? And it's so important. And as Prabhupada actually mentions about when you actually have this relationship with the Supreme Personality, with the spiritual authority, then you can have transcendental attachment for the direct service of the Lord. And this is very important because although many people want to come directly to the Lord, of course, it's not that they're going to be rejected in any way, but to advance yourself further in your spiritual endeavor to serve the Lord, then that transcendental attachment comes by accepting a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master. Now, just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I mentioned like Vidura, he accepted Maitreya as a spiritual master. Maitreya also had Narada Muni as a spiritual master. We have wonderful stories at the Srimad Bhagavatam, like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. They accepted Narada Muni to guide him, become the spiritual master, help them overcome the difficulties they may be facing and challenges. Just like Devahuti, she accepted her own son, Kapila Dev, as a spiritual master. Kapila Dev was a partial expansion of the Supreme Lord. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada, he accepted Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, when you actually read the biography of Srila Prabhupada, actually mentions that Srila Prabhupada's father, as he was known, Abhay Charan's father, Guru Mohan Dey, he would invite many, many sadhus, yogis, saintly persons to their homes. And Srila Prabhupada wasn't very impressed with them. He would see them, sometimes smoking, sometimes, not in a spiritual nature, connected in a way that would actually show that he is very devoted to serving the Lord, praying to the Lord, chanting the holy name of the Lord. But they were like, just claiming or just begging for money just for the cause of earning a livelihood. So Srila Prabhupada in 1922, one of his good friend, Narendra Malik, who was actually one of the family group members who were taking care of the Radha Govinda temple in the place where Srila Prabhupada was staying in Calcutta, insisted by Charan to come and see this saintly person. But Prabhupada was really reluctant. He didn't want to go. And Narendra just insisted, please come, please come. And so reluctantly, Abhay went with Narendra. They went to a place in Alta Danga, which is in Calcutta, to a place where the Gaudiya Math had developed a temple for their spiritual master. And on the rooftop of that particular place, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was given a discourse to all the listeners there, his disciples and well-wishers. It so happened Abhay and his friend Narendra, they were in their, normal day outfit. They weren't in dhoti or anything at all. They sat down with all the other guests. And straight away, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said to him directly, you look like intelligent men. Why don't you preach this mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the West in English? And of course, the discourse went that Abhay said, why should we preach to the West? Should we not free India from the tyrannical rule of the English Empire? Because at that time, the government was ruled by the English Empire. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, defeated his argument. Krishna consciousness is so important, it cannot wait for any political changes, any cultural changes. Whether it's one political leader or another political leader does not really matter. The importance is understanding the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and preaching it to the West, because no matter who's in charge of this country, it won't actually affect the sublime transcendental literatures or knowledge as passed on from Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then that first moment that Srila Prabhupada or Abhay Charan saw this particular saintly person, he was so convinced this is somebody, not an ordinary person, somebody who was actually a spiritual authority. And it wasn't until 10 years later, in 1932, that Srila Prabhupada met him again while they were doing a program, the Gaudiya Math, along with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They were doing a program in Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada, because he was busy, he got married, he had children, he started having a business. It was very difficult for him to meet his spiritual master, but then he decided, no, I must meet him. And that's when the question came up about taking initiation. And he took that lesson by his own spiritual master. But although it was a long time before he actually came to the West, he came to the West in 1965. Since he last met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, although they exchanged letters with each other, it's so important that they had this discourse, because without that interaction, without Narendra having to sort of encourage him to come and see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, certainly ISKCON, as it is, wouldn't have been actually founded by Srila Prabhupada, and none of us would be here. Maybe there would have been another movement, but Krishna's plan has it that he wants Srila Prabhupada to come and preach to the West. And I remember His Holiness Bhakti Charaswami mentioned that, you know, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He could have easily converted the whole world into Krishna consciousness, but why did he not do it? Just like in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna could have destroyed all the enemies to Kauravas if he wanted to support his devotees, the Pandavas, but he did not. He wanted to give that credit to the Pandavas and to Arjuna. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could have actually established the Krishna consciousness movement around the world, Lord Nityananda, the Panchtattva, but he left that credit to another person, a devotee. The Supreme Personality of Godhead had conquered the world. Of course, our spiritual recognition would be there, but when we see an ordinary person, we actually come, of course, he's not an ordinary person, Srila Prabhupada. When we see a human personality, we tend to think twice, this is an ordinary person who actually come to deliver the message of Srila Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he took it very seriously. How was it possible, even though he went through so many difficulties in his life, through heart attacks, through lack of funds, lack of support, lack of places to stay when he was in America? Even when he established Krishna consciousness, many of his senior disciples started having splinter groups and wanted to become an authority straight away, which disappointed Srila Prabhupada in many ways. So there was a very difficult time for Srila Prabhupada as well. On this particular verse, or Srila Prabhupada mentions about the different relationships: neutral, active, friendly, parental, and conjugal. Of course, there's some limited relationships one could have with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, does anybody know the Sanskrit verse for neutral? Active, friendly, parental, and conjugal, any one of them? Okay, I'll just quickly read this out to you. Shanta is neutral love. It's a calm, peaceful, and respectful relationship when one simply appreciates Krishna's divine nature without seeking personal reciprocation. Dasya is a relationship where one sees Krishna as the master and serves him with complete devotion, like a servant to the king. Sakya, friendship, is a bond of camaraderie and playful interaction, where one relates to Krishna as a close friend. Vatsalya, relationship where one feels like a parent towards Krishna, showering him with love and care as if he were a child. And then Madhurya, conjugal love, the most intimate relationship, often associated with Radha's devotion to Krishna, characterized by passionate love and devotion. So who could give you an example of neutral love? Which personality has a relationship in the form of neutral love? Shanta. He's normally referred to Narada Muni. He has that neutral love because at the same time, he is a Shakti Aveshavata, he's an expression of the Supreme Lord. But at the same time, he also passes certain information, certain ways a certain personality should act in a certain way, whether it's somebody of a devotee or a person who is non-devotee. For instance, he was given certain advice to Kamsa, was given certain advice to Hiranyakashipu. So in that way, although he had that neutral love, but he was also trying to show the benefit of appreciating the Supreme Lord in what circumstances would happen to both Hiranyakashipu and Kamsa if they did not follow the love or support or surrender themselves to Krishna. Now, what about Dasya? Who would be a personality that represents Dasya? So the personalities that come to our minds straight away is, of course, Lord Hanuman, serving Lord Ramachandra, Lakshmana and Sita Devi. And the other personality is Arjuna himself, who sees himself, actually Arjuna is more of a friendship, sorry. Dasya is more referred to Hanuman himself. So in case of Sakya friendship, we normally see Hanuman, we see Arjuna in that role of friendship, as he mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita, I did not know you were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I jested with you, I laughed with you, I slept on the same bed as you, I did not show any respect to you, dear Krishna, and you are the Supreme Lord, the Master of all. Also, the Sakyaras is also friendship, is when you think about the cowherd boys of Krishna playing in Vrindavan, always intimate relationships with Krishna all the time, with Krishna and Balaram. Vatsalya, that parental affection is considered to be like Nanda Maharaj and Devaki, who are always so affectionate to Krishna in every way. They did not see him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They saw him as somebody who was of a great authority, great personality, but they also prayed to the demigods to protect their little Krishna in so many ways. And Madhurya, which is the highest form of love or highest form of relationship, is considered to be the most intimate. And Radharani and the gopis, their pure devotion to Krishna is not compared to any other personalities. So these are the 5 relationships. Additionally, I wanted to quickly cover you. There's also 3 relationships that we have with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is Sabandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Does anybody know what those 3 relationships are? Okay, that's for time. I'll read this out to you. According to Vedic principles, there are 3 stages of spiritual advancement, namely Sambandha Jnana, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Sambandha Jnana refers to establishing one's original relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So before you progress to the highest level, you develop a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then when you go to the next stage, Abhideya, it's the actions that you take which are in accordance with the constitutional relationships. So whenever you take that relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as you build up, you act in devotional service. You have a connection to the Supreme Lord. You want to perform devotional service to please the Lord and also to purify yourself. And the highest level is Prayojana, which is the ultimate goal of life, which is developing pure love of Godhead, Prema Purmatamaham. So I'll go on a little further regarding this particular verse where Srila Prabhupada mentions about devotional service and loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we've mentioned this verse quite a few times. Okay, does anybody want to read this particular verse? It's from Prahlad Maharaj speaking to Hiranyakashipu from Canto 7, Chapter 5. Perhaps we could just read the translation for time.
I don't mind.
Yeah, Vanita Mataji, go ahead,
Hare
please.
Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form qualities, paraphernalia and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for reciting that. Yes, so you use your body, your mind, your words, and engaging yourself in the 9 process of devotional service. And as we know, Ambarish Maharaj, he uses all these 9 processes, all his senses, his mind, his intelligence, and serving the Supreme Lord. This particular verse is a very popular verse. If you do not know it or have not heard of this particular prayer, it's really nice to recite it and remember it as much as you can. Shri Prarada Vacha Shavanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakya Atmanivedanam. So the 9 processes of devotional service, by hearing and chanting of the holy name of the Lord, remembering his lotus feet, offering the Lord respectful prayers, worshiping the Supreme Lord, offering prayers to the Lord, offering respectful worship, and then offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, that's Dashyam, considering the Lord's one best friend, Dashyam, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him your whole body, mind, and words. That's referred to Atma Nivedanam. So these 9 processes, you must try and do your best in your daily routine to serve the Supreme Lord, also serving the devotees of the Lord, to develop your spiritual cleanliness or spiritual process in coming and connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Additionally, there are also 9 steps of yoga as well in developing this particular level of spiritual connection to the Supreme Lord. And first of all, it starts with Shraddha. So you've got to develop faith, first of all. So these are the 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga as well. The other 9 stages we mentioned were the 9 stages of devotional service as well, 9 processes of devotional service. These are the stages, almost like a ladder. When you climb up a ladder, you go up one step at a time, and it develops you to the highest level, to the top of the ladder. So does anybody want to read these 9 steps, though? If they could read it slowly.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Bhatani Mataji, yes.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Shraddha, faith, Sadhu Sangha, association with devotees, Bhajana Kriya, performance of devotional service, Anartha Nivritti, decreasing of unwanted attachment, Nistha, steadiness, Ruchi, taste, Asakti, attachment, Bhava, love, Prema, pure love for Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. This is from the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. You may have known this as Nectar of Devotion by Rupa Goswami. Now, I don't want to obviously embarrass you in any way, nor do I want to sort of consider everybody to be higher or lower. I mean, does anybody feel they're at stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 at all? If they feel happy to talk and perhaps give a little realization. The reason why I want to sort of interact, because sometimes it's nice to have a bit of discussion. So it allows you to open up other questions as well. Would anybody like to say, are they perhaps at the Nishta stage, they're steady in their spiritual life?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Pranam.
Narata Mataji. Thank you.
I don't know, Prabhuji, where I am, but I do feel sometimes that these anartha nivritti, decreasing of unwanted attachments, I do feel that the type of person I was, I have felt that my needs have becoming less than before. Although when I was speaking to my brother, I was telling him that, oh, I love all my friends and I love my family and everybody, but I don't know why I don't feel like I'm missing out if I don't go to movies or if I'm not always partying with my friends, or in fact, I just don't go. And he said to me that your taste is developing. So he does feel I'm near six, but I don't know where I am, Prabhuji, but I do
No,
feel some of these.
yeah.
But your Haribo.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for being honest as well. Yes, another difficulty when you sort of decrease from unwanted attachments. As you know, we want the latest iPhone or mobile phone, the latest TV screen, something material. And then we've had lessons in our own lives. You know, perhaps we've got a beautiful car and somebody's crashed it or somebody's crashed into it. Mobile phone, after 2 or 3 years, it goes dead, then we want something else. Then that attachment sort of diminishes slowly. But that attachment for your friends and family is also quite natural because you're a human person and you want, it's almost like feeling compassion as well because you've developed this stage of devotional service and you want to give that to other devotees. A devotee never likes to see another person suffer. He's always thinking, if I see another person suffering, he also feels remorse. And also, when he sees somebody happy, he also feels happy. And that was a class actually specifically given on that particular topic yesterday morning by Prabhu for the Sankirtan Festival yesterday morning for Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you, Namrata Mataji. Anybody else would like to give a thought where they may be, or like to be at least, for this year?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hitesh Bhai, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, is there a zero level?
Thank you for being honest.
I'm probably 0 to 1. That's all I can really say, but that's how I feel. Hare Krishna.
Hitesh Bhai, I'm sure you're not definitely on 0. I could see from your profile picture, you have a beautiful picture of Radha Damodar, Mother Yashoda, Bal Gopal. You've got fruit offering to Krishna. So certainly your level of spiritual awareness of Krishna consciousness is certainly far higher. And I would certainly say, if anything, this is the bottom level you're at, Bhajana Kriya, performance of devotional service, because you are performing devotional service. You're attending the classes, you're attending, listening, hearing and chanting, and developing that taste, associating with devotees, accepting a spiritual master, will allow you to move on to the higher stages where you attain prema, pure love of God. Sometimes we do actually have interactions. Sometimes there's that feeling of bhava, especially when you're in a festival, you see the Abhishek. It's considered to be one of the most beautiful pastimes. Seeing the different fluids, the different nectar flowing on the lotus body of the Supreme Lord and Srimati Radharani. You think, how is it possible? We're seeing this beautiful Leela of the Supreme Lord. You know, he's only got a dhoti on, and yet we're able to bathe him and watch him. I mean, how many people would actually allow yourself to see anybody seeing you having a shower or a bath? Would be so, you know, it would be angry even in our own family. But here, this is considered to be the most beautiful pastime, and that feeling of bhava definitely comes in many of us. And we should actually progress ourselves in whatever way we can. Sadhu Sangha Association, just like the way all of you are associated with each other by listening to the class. Another devotee, as Namrata Mataji was saying, developing detachment from unwanted material opulences. Of course, you need to have a home, you need to have shelter, you need to have finance to take care of yourself, support yourself, family. Those are very important things. But if you use it in Krishna service, renunciation isn't so much about detaching yourself from material objects, but allowing yourself how to use those material objects in Krishna service. Now, for instance, hands up, when you have a mobile phone and you get WhatsApp messages, somebody sends you pictures of darshan, we just flick through them. But if somebody sends you a message of something, what's going on, it's a little gossip, say, hey, what's going on? I'd be honest, sometimes I do flick through darshan pictures and I think, oh my gosh, what am I doing? These are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is how they've been dressed. May I look at the lotus feet, how are they dressed, the garlands, the jewelry, the decorations around them. Let me be a bit more observant. I may not be there personally, of course. There's a difference between a photo and being there personally present, but we develop that mood of seeing Krishna is everywhere, whether it's in a picture, whether it's in our heart, whether it's at the temple. We have to develop that mood. Yes, let me see Krishna everywhere in everything I do and see. Now, I'm just going to quickly go to the next verse. I've only got a few minutes left. There's so much more to speak. Text 20. Just for time, if it's all right with you, I'll just read the translation. Persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees by progressing on the path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vaikunthas. Pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigods and the controller of all living entities. Now, this particular verse, when I was mentioning Srila Prabhupada, when it's in his translation, pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord. The first verse that came to my mind was from the Bhagavad Gita. This is the Chatur Shlokas, the 4 important shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 9. And in the translation, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always aligning one another and conversing about me. So it's so important that we always constantly discuss and converse about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By doing so, by talking about the pastimes, the form, the qualities of the Supreme Lord, we develop great satisfaction because it is not of a spiritual nature. It is spiritual. It is no different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then I was going to explain it a little bit more, but because of time, I'll go into this particular verse, Shikshashtakam. Once again, just for time, I'll just read the translation. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. So this is important. That Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction of humanity for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. Because out of nature, when we're born in the mode of ignorance, because due to the coverings of goodness, illusion, and ignorance. It's important that we're actually coming to the stage where we want to cleanse ourselves by chanting the holy name of the Lord, by reading about the glories of the Supreme Lord, cleanses the heart, which is accumulated of dust for thousands of lifetimes. And we can do this by chanting the holy name, just like in that verse I mentioned. I think somebody's got their mic on. That by engaging ourselves in glorifying the Supreme Lord, and in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions the path of liberation as recommended by all authorities is to serve the Mahatma transcendentalists. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Mahatmas are the pure devotees who are on the path of Vaikuntha, the kingdom of God, who can always chant and hear the glories of the Lord rather than talk of dry, profitless philosophy. This system of association has been recommended since time immemorial, but in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, it is especially recommended by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even if one has no assets of favorable austerity, if he nevertheless takes shelter of the Mahatmas who are engaged in chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, he is sure to make progress on the path back home, back to Godhead. As we mentioned the verse earlier on, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, is the two most important aspects of devotional services in our life. I'll just quickly read verse 21 then 22. Just for time, I'll read the translation. After creating the total material energy, the Mahatattva, and thereby manifesting the gigantic universal form with senses and sense organs, the Supreme Lord entered within it. Purport: fully satisfied by the answers of the sage Maitreya, Vidura wanted to understand the remaining portions of the creative function of the Lord, and he took the clue from the previous topics. And the last verse for today, Yamaho Adya Purusham Sahasrangri Urupahukam Yatra Vishwa Ime Loka Shavika Shamta Ashate. Translation: the Purusha incarnation line on the causal ocean is called the original Purusha, the material creations, and in his Virat form, in whom all the planets and the inhabitants live, he has many thousands of legs and hands. Purport: the first Purusha is known as Karandakshay Vishnu. The second Purusha is known as Kabadakshay Vishnu. The third Purusha is Sharadakshai Vishnu, in whom is contemplated the Virat Purusha, the gigantic form in which all the planets with the different developments and inhabitants are floating. So we discussed these three personalities of the Supreme Lord. In our previous class, I showed a slideshow. First is Kabadaksha Vishnu, and from the pores of his skin, all the bubbles of the different, first is Karanaksha Vishnu, from the pores of his skin come all the bubbles of universes, and on the ocean, half of those bubbles is covered by the Gaba ocean, and lying on that ocean is Kabadaksha Vishnu and Sheshananta, accompanied by Lakshmi Devi. And the third Purusha is the Sharadaksha Vishnu, who expands into the different personalities of Krishna's incarnations and also expands himself into all the living entities. And here it explains from Sharadaksha Vishnu, in whom is contemplated the Virat Purusha, which is a gigantic form in which all the planets and the different developments of inhabitants are floating in. So that Virat Purusha is referring to the universal form that Lord Krishna manifested himself in front of Arjuna. You can see with his divine eyes, which Krishna had given him that transcendental vision, so you could see that gigantic form of the Supreme Lord. But that Virat Purusha form is actually a mature manifestation of the Supreme Lord. And when the mature manifestation is dissolved, that Virat Purusha is also dissolved. Okay, I think I've covered everything. Do forgive me for any mistakes, or if there's any corrections, do please let me know as well. Now, I'll pass it on to Shriji Kishore Mataji for the bhajans for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
My
Krishna
Pranam.
Mataji.
Oh, glory, Srila Prabhupada. So, Prabhuji, for today's bhajan, we have our lovely Shabani Mataji and Girish Prabhuji. So, Shabani Mataji will be singing a beautiful bhajan, Nadiya Gaur Dhrume Nityananda. But before she sings, if we have Girish Prabhuji who can do the translation. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. In the land of Nadia, on the island of Godruma, the magnanimous Lord Nityananda has opened the marketplace of the holy name, meant for the deliverance of all fallen souls. O people of faith, O people of faith, by the order of Lord Gauranga, O brothers, I beg these three requests to you. Chant Krishna, worship Krishna, and teach other about Krishna. Being careful to remain free of offenses, just take the holy name of Lord Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, and Krishna is the treasure of your life. Giving up all sinful activities, carrying on your worldly duties only in relation to Lord Krishna. The showing of compassion to other souls by loudly chanting the holy name of Krishna is the essence of all the forms of religion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shilpad ki jai. नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजान, नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजान, पातिया चे नाम हट जीवरे करान, पातिया चे नाम हट जीवरे करान। श्रद्धावंजन है, श्रद्धावंजन है, श्रद्धावंजन है, श्रद्धावंजन है। प्रभुरा आगाय बाय मागे भिक्षा, प्रभुरा आगाए बाय मागे भिक्षा बोलो कृष्णा भजो कृष्णा करो कृष्णा शिक्षा बोलो कृष्णा भजो कृष्णा करो कृष्णा शिक्षा अपराध शून्य होय लो कृष्ण नाम अपराध शून्य होय लोह कृष्ण नाम कृष्ण माता कृष्ण पिता कृष्ण दान प्राण कृष्ण माता कृष्ण पिता कृष्ण दान प्राण श्रद्धावंजन है श्रद्धावंजन है श्रद्धावंजन है श्रद्धावंजन है नादिया गोदू में नित्यानंद महाजान नादिया गोदू में नित्यानंद महाजान पाथियाचे नाम हट जीवरे करान कृष्णार संसारा कोरोचा ध्यानाचार कृष्णार संसारा कोरोचा ध्यानाचार जीवे दोये कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म सार जीवे दोये कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म सार श्रद्धावंजन है श्रद्धावंजन है श्रद्धावंजन है श्रद्धावंजन है नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजान पाथियाचे नाम जीवरे करान पाथियाचे नाम हवे जीवरे करान हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol Mataji and Prabhuji. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was so beautifully sung, Shabina Mataji. So nice. And also Girish Prabhu for the translation. I certainly hope all of you, Shabini Mataji and Girish, have sung so nicely. I hope all of you can also sometime in this year, you could also sing a bhajan as well. I know some of you may be shy, but just depend on the spiritual master, depend on Krishna, depend on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it'd be nice because all of you are doing such wonderful service because you could have all been watching something on Netflix, Prime Video right now, but all of you are very dedicated in continuing to be part of this chat groups. And we certainly pray that you give us your blessings that we could continue this. And so we can actually push this Krishna consciousness movement to those who may not be familiar with Krishna, may not be familiar with the Sanatana Dham, but slowly, whatever endeavor we have, just like a little tiny lamp may light up a big room. We may not be like a big, beautiful moon, but slowly, even a little light, lighting a little lamp, that's what we try to represent. We could serve Srila Prabhupada, serve our devotees, our authorities in so many ways to help each other. Thank you, everyone. And all glories to Shabbat Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all of you. Please accept my humble obeisances. Vancha Kalpa, Tarubhyascha, Kripa
Kripa
Sindhu,
sindhubhya eva cha
Bhyayevacha,
patitanam
Patitanam,
pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo,
vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo,
namo
Namo
namaha
Namaha. Hare
Ananta
Krishna,
Koti
everyone.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Thank you,
jai.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.